So, folks, I wanted to talk just one additional time. And I know for a lot of you, I'm preaching to the choir when I say Renee Good was murdered. And many of you have already seen my coverage of this, where we went frame by frame in the video, and we saw different details, like her tires were turned away from the officer. We saw different details like her hands turning the car away from the officer as he looked at her. We saw that his feet were clear of the car's path as she was making her turn, and even as she turned prior to him firing shots. But I do want to say the New York Times has put out a very good overview and breakdown of this murder from a number of different angles. And I thought that going over that, especially because some of the video that they were able to obtain is different from what I saw, that I think it's worth all of us taking a look at it in one last time, just to really make sure no one is ever able to gaslight you ever again that this officer was fearing for his life, or that this officer was even hit by this car. All right? So let's just take a look. Come on, New York Times, let's go.
This is a cell phone video filmed by the ICE agent who shot and killed Renee Good in Minneapolis. The White House press secretary said this footage reaffirmed President Trump's previous claim, based on other videos, that Miss Good, quote, didn't try to run him over, she ran him over.
Get out of the car.
Watched in isolation, the cell phone video might look like that's the case. But when analyzed alongside other angles of the shooting, synchronized by the Times, a much more complicated picture is revealed. More footage will likely emerge, but the currently available visual evidence still shows no indication Agent Jonathan Ross got run over. The footage does provide some visibility into the positioning between the agent and Miss Good's SUV and the key moments of escalation. And it establishes, frame by frame, how Agent Ross put himself in a dangerous position near her vehicle in the first place. About 3 minutes before...
Yeah, no, I know that many of you guys saw this footage initially and were like, oh yeah, no, that's just murder. But there are some people out there who are just like, no, she was disobeying lawful orders, and therefore, and then tried to hit him with her car, and she bumped him with her car, and he was fearing for his life, even though the footage might not show that. He was afraid for his life, and that justified the shooting. But I want y'all to understand, that's bullshit. That is bullshit. I don't remember if it is covered in this particular breakdown, but I want to point out that as he moved in front of her car, right, there is a moment where he shifts which hand he is using to film from his right dominant hand to his left hand. And my argument is that in that moment, he made the decision to shoot one of them. All right? Because there's no reason to shift that hand unless you are in your mind thinking, I'm going to pull out my gun. And at that moment, there is no possible reason for him to pull out his gun, because that car isn't moving yet. But we also know that Jonathan Ross worked in Border Patrol. And we know that over the years, Border Patrol has a reputation for officers deliberately stepping in front of moving vehicles in order to justify shooting people in cars. That is a known issue in Border Patrol. It has been known about for over a decade. There are reports going back to 2012 talking about this. And also we know that every use of force, manual in our law enforcement discourages shooting and says, do not do this, shooting people behind the wheels of cars. Because when you shoot someone who is driving a car, their foot goes limp, which means it goes down on the accelerator, which means if you are in front of a car and you shoot somebody who is driving the car, that car accelerates to you. So any kind of training someone might have in law enforcement is against shooting someone who is driving at you. And we know Jonathan Ross was a firearms trainer. So we know that he knew the use of force policies for DHS. And the only conclusion I can come to from the fact that he's already moving to use his weapon before there's any kind of threat, and I would argue from his conduct in this video breakdown, Jonathan Ross deliberately, and you can see him move in this video, killed Renee Good, deliberately murdered her. While we continue to watch this breakdown, I'll grab that article from like a decade ago about Border Patrol doing exactly what Jonathan Ross did in this video.
For the shooting, footage shows Miss Good and her wife park their maroon SUV in the middle of the street and begin honking and heckling. Administration officials say they were impeding and blocking immigration agents. Footage shows 11 vehicles maneuver around the SUV, including this Chevy Tahoe driven by Agent Ross. When he exits, he's already filming Miss Good's SUV, not with a body camera typical of most law enforcement, but using a cell phone in his hand.
Found it. Here is the article from The Nation from 2014. U.S. border agents intentionally stepped in front of moving vehicles to justify shooting at them. An internal review of the U.S. Border Patrol raises serious questions about the agency's use of force policy. Which is to say, that isn't the Nation saying that. That is the United States government reviewing conduct of its own officers and coming to the conclusion that officers were deliberately setting up circumstances in which they were trying to argue that their murders were totally justified. That's the US government saying that. I'm going to link this in chat so you guys can read it for yourselves. Here you go.
It's not clear why. The agent's footage shows his interactions with Miss Good.
Come on. Why are we pausing?
I'm not mad at you.
And her wife.
That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning.
There's verbal jabbing.
It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking veteran. You want to come at us?
We see the agent switching the phone from his right hand to his left as he heads toward the front seat of his Tahoe.
I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy.
During this time, on the other side of the SUV, 2 new agents arrive in a pickup. We see Miss Good motions them to go around her.
Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car.
Over the next 6 seconds,
Out of the car.
we see one agent reaching into the SUV, Miss Good starting to drive, then Agent Ross firing 3 shots. Now let's go back and analyze some of the key contested moments of the agent's cell phone video, alongside other footage to break down what happens during these critical 6 seconds. Here, the agent's cell phone footage shows he's moving directly in front of the SUV, as it's reversing and rotating towards him, initiating a 3-point turn apparently to leave. Law enforcement officers are trained to avoid doing this because it puts them in danger and often leads to the use of force against drivers. The cell phone is focused squarely on Miss Good. She looks down, shifts into drive, and begins turning to the right, away from the agent. Cut to this high angle and zoom in. We can make out the agent's body and his arm filming.
Now this is the angle that I had not seen before.
We can also see, at the same time, he's beginning to lift his other arm. On these cameras, we can see what's happening around Agent Ross. The other agent is yelling orders and reaching into Miss Good's SUV. Her front tire spins as she continues turning right. Agent Ross is at least a few feet away from Miss Good's SUV. He does not appear to move out of the way. As the SUV rolls forward, the agent unholsters his firearm. We see in his cell phone video at this moment the camera drifting off to the left. The agent is no longer focused on filming. It's at this point in the cell phone video where it first looks and sounds like the agent's getting knocked violently. On the other camera, we can see what's happening. Here is Agent Ross aiming his gun at Miss Good. And here is his outstretched arm leaning toward her vehicle, which is barely visible behind the Tahoe. His phone, which is gripped in his left hand, flips over when the agent's hand lands on the front of the vehicle. There's an audible thud when it hits. The camera rotates up towards the sky. Again, while it appears the agent's getting knocked over, we can see that's not the case from the other angle, which shows he's standing with his hand near the headlight, his torso and legs away from the vehicle.
Yeah, like, I gotta really emphasize here, even the argument that he was bruised by this is utter bullshit. Look at him. His torso isn't even touching the car. He's touching the car with his hand.
In the cell phone footage, the agent's face flashes on screen, then it goes black. The other angle shows us why. We can see the agent's foot sliding, his hand bracing against the SUV, and his arm getting pressed into his chest. It is impossible to determine if this is happening because of the SUV's movement or the icy asphalt, or more likely, both. And what's very unclear because of the limited quality.
Yeah, they were claiming internal bleeding, which is, if you were being extraordinarily pedantic, a light bruising, which I'm guessing is exactly what they're being.
And availability of footage is whether the agent's upper body gets swiped by the vehicle as his left foot slides back. This moment is when Agent Ross fires. We see the other agent pull back from the SUV. Both of them stumble, apparently slipping on the ice. This is also the moment many have said looks like Agent Ross getting run over. And it does when watched at full speed. But looking more closely, we can see in multiple angles that there's a visible gap between the vehicle and his legs, indicating his feet are positioned outside the SUV's path.
Yeah, this man did not get fucking run over, and this man didn't even really get hit. He hit the car by throwing his hand out and touching the front of the car.
The agent's left hand is still against the vehicle and gripping his phone. We see as he fires, it's recording the clouds and the trees overhead. It's not because the agent is knocked to the ground. The other angle shows he's still standing, continuing to maintain his grip on his phone and his gun, and we see a clear and growing gap between his body and the SUV as he fires a second shot.
Yeah, like, he then continues to fire after the car is nowhere near hitting him. He fires through the open window.
And a third. None of the bullets have the effect of stopping the SUV. But they kill Renee Good. According to our analysis of audio from Agent Ross's cell phone video, this is his reaction.
Fucking bitch.
What the fuck? What the fuck did you do?
According to a White House spokesperson, Agent Ross, quote, suffered internal bleeding after he was struck by the car.
Shame! Shame! Shame!
Later that evening, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said that he had been treated at a local hospital and released.
So I just wanted to go over that because some excellent breakdown from the New York Times. There's no question. There is no question that was not justified. He deliberately put himself in that position so that he could have like a reason to say, oh, that's why I shot her. That's it. There was a doctor on the scene afterwards who like wanted to go check. And apparently, according to medical folks, like she was alive at the time. It's just utterly disgusting. So I just wanted to put that to rest before we have any additional conversations about ICE here in Minneapolis. They're fucking murderers. They're fucking disappearing people on the street. And they're all predicating it off of and justifying it. They being like, oh, the protesters are all domestic terrorists. We need to investigate. We need to investigate Renee Good's wife because maybe she's a domestic terrorist too. Like it is lunacy. And what we need right now is justice for Renee Good, and we need ICE out of Minneapolis and Minnesota, and we need to have accountability for these goddamn murderers. So, that being said, folks, let's get organized, because we need to fight for that accountability. Join your local Dems, join your local DSA, Join our Discord if you don't know where to start doing those things, and we have folks here who can help you. And let me know what you think down in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe. Let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and Swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.